This is just a short video showing our little male red-eared slider who drowned at the bottom of the trough several hours ago. And when he was first noticed, he was completely lifeless, and he was then resuscitated over the course of probably an hour or more. We really worked on him, and I had just about given up hope. We started to get some responsiveness from him, and then he kind of crashed on us again. But after some epinephrine injections and a lot of work, suctioning fluid out, and then intubating his airway there, and giving him rescue breaths, and just pumping his limbs in and out while we were holding his head down to expel the water, and just repeating that process and working on him and continuing to give him breaths. Also used up a small bottle of oxygen with him, and he began to regain some responsiveness. And in reptiles, they will, when they lose consciousness or they're dying, they'll lose responsiveness in their forward portion, and it'll progress backward. And so the first thing I did when I was checking for signs of life was to check his tail and his rear limbs. And when we first found him, he exhibited no detectable signs that he was alive. But I decided to go ahead and give it a few minutes and intubate him and get him on some oxygen and try anyway. And I'm glad I did, because within probably 5 to 10 minutes he did show some responsiveness. First in his tail. That's usually the first. His tail started twitching, and then my assistant, who was holding him while I was doing most of the work, she was checking for responsiveness in the rear limbs at the time, and she noticed that he was jerking, showed some response in his rear limbs. And so we continued on, and I gave him some epi, and then he started moving those front limbs, and then finally his head. And so we were pretty confident at that point that he had a chance, and so I kept on with him. And his movements here are still pretty uncoordinated, but I'm hoping he doesn't have brain damage. That's, of course, likely in this case if he was without oxygen for a substantial amount of time, that he has brain damage and he's not going to recover. But we'll see. I've had turtles that I've brought out of anesthesia that it took them quite a while to kind of recover their coordination too. They've had what we call ataxia, which is just a general uncoordinated movement. And his airway there, he's intubated with a portion of red feeding tube, and that's for his airway management. That's holding his airway open there, so that he can breathe, and that's taped in place. And I'll continue to monitor him throughout the night, and hopefully he improves tomorrow, by tomorrow. If he's not really improved, then I will know, at least in the next 12 hours or so, if he survives till morning. That will let me know pretty much whether he's got brain damage or not, and it's going to be unrecoverable. But at least at this point he's stable and he's fighting. So I'm not going to give up on him yet.